I used to think silence meant love, that if you said nothing, respected space, followed boundaries, that meant you cared, that you trusted, that you understood the moment wasn't about you. But yesterday morning, while I was lying under surgical lights with my wife's hand in mine, our son taking his first breath outside of her body, someone else was already waiting to make it about them. It was 6:45. I remember the time because the room was humming, soft bleeps from the monitors, a nurse checking my wife's IV, the faint static of shoe soles across polished tile. They were prepping her for the C-section. I was in scrubs, standing useless at the side of the hospital bed, heart pounding louder than I cared to admit. We hadn't told many people, just four. My mom, my dad, her mom, her sister. That's it. We were firm but fair. We'd let them know after the baby was born, after recovery, after we were ready. The moment needed to belong to us. My wife, Maya, was calm. Or maybe just well practiced. It wasn't her first surgery, but it was our first child. She whispered, "Promise me, no one barges in, not even your mom." I nodded. We told them. They get it. But I didn't know. I didn't know that 30 feet away, in the hospital waiting room, my mother, Linda, was already trying to lie her way past reception. She told the front desk she was the mother of Maya. My wife is Bengali American. My mother is white as printer paper. The nurse looked her over once and said, "Ma'am, I don't think that's accurate." But that didn't stop her. She sat down and waited for 4 hours. She didn't text me, didn't ask permission, didn't say good luck, just drove across town before sunrise and tried to elbow her way into one of the most sacred moments of our lives because she needed to be there, because Grandma deserved it. I didn't know any of that when they wheeled Maya into the operating room. I held her hand while they inserted the spinal. I kissed her forehead when her lips trembled from the drugs. I watched her chest rise and fall while they tugged and sliced and lifted our son into the air like something holy. And when I saw him, all 7 pounds, slick and crying, I thought, he doesn't even know it yet, but he's already in the middle of someone else's war. They took him to be cleaned. I followed. They wrapped him up like a little burrito, let me hold him while they closed up Maya. 10 minutes later, we were back in recovery. Curtains drawn, lights low. Maya was shaking, trying to latch him for the first time. Her lips were pale. The nurse offered warm blankets and whispered gently about skin to skin. It was peaceful, fragile. Until another nurse stepped in and said, "There's a woman in the waiting room asking when she can come back." Maya looked up, confused. "We didn't tell anyone yet." The nurse glanced at her clipboard. "She said she's the grandmother, Linda?" I felt the blood drain from my face. I said, "No, absolutely not. We're not ready for visitors. Please ask her to leave." The nurse nodded, understood. And that should have been the end of it. But what I didn't realize was that Linda had already made herself the story, and she wasn't going to let go of the spotlight. The nurse was gone for maybe 10 minutes, long enough for Maya to finally settle the baby against her chest, long enough for my hands to stop shaking, long enough for me to whisper that I was proud of her, that our boy was perfect, that this was everything I'd ever wanted. Then the door creaked open again. Same nurse, different look. "She refused to leave," she said carefully. "Security's talking to her now." Maya tensed. I stood up. "She what?" "She said she's been here since 6:45. She's crying. Said it's cruel to keep her from her grandson. Claims she has rights." I nearly laughed. Not because it was funny, because it was absurd. Like hearing someone scream unfair at a wedding they weren't invited to. Maya's voice was barely above a whisper. "She said that? To security?" "She's upset. the nurse said, clearly trying to stay neutral. We may need to involve the police if she doesn't leave. Then do it, I said. She's not supposed to be here. She lied to get in. That's not family. That's trespassing. The nurse left again. I sat back down, took Maya's hand. She didn't speak for a full minute. Then quietly, she really thought she'd hold him before I did. I couldn't answer. It wasn't until nearly an hour later that my phone buzzed. Blocked number. I picked up. All I heard was sobbing. I just wanted to see my baby, my mother said. Why would she do this to me? Her baby, not her grandson. I put the phone on speaker. Maya heard it. Her eyes went flat. I kept my voice level. You weren't invited. I didn't think you meant it, she said between sobs. I thought I'd be an exception. I'm the grandmother. You lied, I said. You told them you were her mother. I panicked. You planned this. You showed up at 6:45 and sat there waiting for your moment. You weren't there for me. You were there for you. Silence. Then, I just wanted to be part of it. You were never cut out, I said. You cut yourself in. Maya reached for my hand. I squeezed back. You're not meeting the baby this week, I said. Maybe longer. But I'm his grandmother, and Maya is his mother, I said. And you made today about you. I hung up. She called back. I let it ring. Then she called Maya, then my sister, then my dad, all within an hour. Texts poured in from my father. Your mother is heartbroken. Was it really necessary to ban her? From my sister. What the hell happened? She's blowing up my phone. From Maya's sister. Your MIL's posting cryptic stuff on Facebook about losing family. I didn't reply. We were still in recovery. The baby had finally latched. Maya was dozing. Her hand was cold in mine, her skin clammy but calming. She'd earned peace. She deserved the silence. I silenced my phone. I looked down at my son's face and thought, you don't know it yet, but today your dad finally learned how to draw a line. There's a specific kind of quiet in hospital corridors at night. The kind that hums low and steady under the fluorescent lights and behind the beep of monitors. It's not silence, not really, but it feels sacred, like the walls are keeping secrets on your behalf. That's what it felt like our second night in recovery. Just me, Maya, and our son. The nurses dimmed the lights, took vitals, and left us alone. No one knocked. No phones rang. After the storm Linda stirred on day one, the calm almost felt suspicious, like the eye of something bigger. Maya hadn't said much since the call. She wasn't cold, just conserving what little energy she had left. She was already pumping every 3 hours, trying to latch through the pain, working through the haze of meds while her body stitched itself back together. I held our son while she slept, watched his chest rise and fall, counted each breath like it might disappear. Then the hospital phone rang. The room phone, not mine. Maya stirred. I answered quietly. Hello? This is the front desk, the voice said. There's a woman here asking for updates. She says she's your mother, Linda. I froze. She's not cleared for updates, I said. She shouldn't even be on record. She's asking when you'll be home. Said she needs to know because she wants to be ready. I rubbed my eyes. We haven't decided when we're leaving. Please, don't share anything further. The receptionist hesitated. Understood. Just wanted to flag it. I hung up. Didn't tell Maya, but I checked the hallway twice before sleeping. When we were discharged, it wasn't a moment of celebration. It was strategy. I parked around the back, took the elevator from the surgical floor to avoid the main entrance. I checked twice before wheeling Maya out. I didn't see her. Didn't mean she wasn't there. Once home, I locked the door. Maya went straight to the nursery with the baby. I watched the Ring camera from my phone while standing in the kitchen. Nothing. Just a quiet front porch, wind lifting the corner of the welcome mat. But then the texts started again. This time, they weren't only from Linda. From my cousin Mark. "Is your mom okay?" She posted something about being cut off from her grandson. It sounded serious. From my Uncle Jeff. "She's devastated. Says Maya's keeping the baby away. What's going on?" From my high school friend Sarah. "I don't want to overstep, but your mom's Facebook post is going a little viral. Are you guys okay?" I opened Facebook. She'd posted a photo of a knitted baby blanket, captioned, "Started this for my future grandson when I first learned they were expecting." I didn't know I'd never get to give it to him. I guess not all grandmas are welcome. Over 100 likes, dozens of "so sorry" and "you'll meet him soon" comments. And then the kicker. All I ever wanted was to hold him first, like I held his father first. Is that really so wrong? That was the story she was telling the world. Not the part where she lied to hospital staff. Not the part where she trespassed or made Maya cry. Just the soft sadness of a grandma locked out in the cold. I didn't respond. I didn't post. But Maya saw it. She was nursing on the couch, phone resting on the armrest. She scrolled in silence, then set it down without a word. Later that night, after the baby finally slept, I found her folding a small pile of laundry in the nursery, baby clothes mostly. But she moved slowly, like her joints ached. I stepped in. She didn't look up. She made me the villain. "She wants to be the victim," I said. "Villains make victims." "She told people I banned her," Maya said quietly. "Like I was cruel. Like I didn't just go through surgery. She erased you." She nodded once. "That's the part that hurts." I didn't know how to fix that, so I didn't try. I just sat down next to the hamper, leaned my back against the dresser, and said, "She won't come near him unless you say so. I mean that." "I don't want a war," she said. "Then it won't be a war," I said. "It'll be a quiet boundary." The next day, I called my dad. He picked up on the second ring. "Hey," I said, "need a minute?" He sighed. "I figured you'd call. I need to know if Mom's planning something." "She's not dangerous," he said quickly. "She's just emotional." "Dad, she won't show up again," he added. I told her. "But she's hurt, man. She really thought she'd get to be there, that it was her right. She thought lying to hospital staff and trying to sneak into pre-op was her right." A pause. "I didn't say she was right. I said she's hurt." I let that sit for a beat. Then, "She's not meeting him this week. That's not negotiable." "I understand." "I need you to understand something else, Dia," I added. "If she tries to show up again, it's not going to be just security next time. It'll be the police." My dad was quiet for a long time. "I'll talk to her again," he said finally. "She needs to understand this is serious." "She doesn't need to understand, Isa," I said. "She needs to respect it." The next boundary came in the form of a notarized letter, Maya's idea. We weren't trying to be dramatic. We were trying to be clear. We drafted a letter outlining hospital access restrictions, visiting policies, and the consequences of future unannounced visits. We didn't send it to be cruel. We sent it so we'd never have to raise our voices again. I dropped it at the post office 2 days after coming home. The clerk weighed the envelope, looked up and said, "Certified or just regular?" I thought for a second, then said, "Certified." Because if Linda ever tried to say she didn't know, she'd be lying again. For a few days it worked. No new calls, no more Facebook posts, just the silence I once mistook for love. Then Maya got an email. Not from Linda, from someone else. Someone we hadn't heard from in years. The email came from an old Gmail address neither of us recognized right away. Subject line, "From someone who understands." Maya opened it while I was making a bottle in the kitchen, half asleep and running on 4 hours of broken sleep and caffeine. She read it twice before saying anything. Then she turned the screen toward me. "You need to see this." I took the phone. The body of the email was short, too short for how loud it felt. "Hi, Maya. I know things are hard right now. I saw what Linda posted. She's hurting. Maybe you don't know what it's like to feel shut out of your own family, but I do. And I want you to know that even if you don't forgive her, she loves that baby with her whole heart. No need to write back. Just think about it." "JJ?" I asked. Maya shook her head. "Scroll down." There was a forwarded message thread underneath, between Linda and someone named Joanne Huff, 61. In the thread, Linda was venting. "They're treating me like a criminal. She won't even let me see my own grandson. He used to be a mama's boy. Not anymore. She's poisoning him against me. I showed up because I thought they'd be glad. I didn't know they'd act like I was a stranger. I waited for hours. I could have missed his birth. Now they're saying I can't come for a week? What if I die before then?" No apology. No recognition of what she did. Just wounded ego wrapped in guilt. "She's trying to build an army," Maya said, "one email at a time." "She forwarded this to someone," I said, "and that person emailed you?" Maya nodded. "I blocked the address?" But I kept staring at the screen. Not because I was surprised, but because I wasn't. The next week, we kept our heads down. Baby feeds, diaper changes, follow-up appointments. Life shrank to survival and the slow rhythm of healing. Linda didn't text, but her silence wasn't clean. It was tactical. Then one afternoon, my sister called. I picked up on the second ring. "Hey." "She's shopping," Leah said, "for baby things." "What?" "She told me not to say anything, but I thought you should know. She's ordering a crib, a whole set of toys, diaper pail, blankets, like she's preparing a nursery." I felt my stomach turn. "At her house?" I asked. "Yeah." "Why?" "She thinks once you cool down, you'll start bringing him over," Leah said carefully. "She's trying to be ready." Maya was across the room, bouncing the baby gently on her shoulder. I didn't want her to hear yet. I lowered my voice. "She's building a fantasy." "She's grieving," Leah said. "No, she's denying." A beat passed. "Look," Leah said, "I'm not defending her, but if you don't address this soon, she's going to rewrite the whole story." She already is. That night, I found Linda's Facebook again. Her profile was a soft pink background now. New banner photo, a quote about forgiveness and family. Family means nobody gets left behind. The comment sections were full of sympathy. One woman, "Your son will come around. New moms are emotional. Give it time." Another, "Maybe offer to babysit? That might thaw things." And then one that made my chest ache. "At least you weren't like my daughter-in-law. She kept my grandson away for 3 years. Linda replied to that one with a heart emoji. Maya read over my shoulder. She didn't say anything, just stood up, took the baby to the bedroom, and shut the door quietly. The next morning, I called a therapist. Not for me, for us. I didn't know how to repair the silence Linda had infected between Maya and me, but I knew we needed a space to speak without second-guessing every sentence. We started sessions that week. Our therapist, Daniel, was a quiet man in his 50s who didn't push. He asked simple things like, "What do you want Maya to feel safe from? And what would a boundary that breathes look like?" I told him the truth. I want her to feel like I've got her. Not just that I love her, that I'll hold the line. And when Maya spoke, her voice was steady. "I need to know I'm not being erased, that my trauma won't be brushed off because someone else cries louder." Daniel nodded. "Have you told Linda that?" "She won't hear it," Maya said. "You might not need her to hear it," he said. "You might just need it written down." That's when the idea hit me. The next day I wrote the letter. It wasn't angry. It was clear. Mom, you showed up at the hospital without asking. You lied to the nurses. You tried to override Maya's wishes on one of the most vulnerable days of her life. That's not love. That's control. This isn't about whether you love your grandson. It's about whether you can respect his mother. Until you can take responsibility, not just say you're hurt, you won't be visiting. Not here, not anywhere. We're not closing the door, but we are locking it until trust is earned. Your son. I printed it, put it in an envelope. No certified mail this time. Just a clean drop in the mailbox. I didn't wait for a reply. Because for the first time, the silence didn't feel like a wound. It felt like a wall, one we built for peace. But Linda wasn't done. She never replied. Instead, she escalated. I thought the letter would be enough. I thought if I kept my words measured, no insults, no ultimatums, just the truth, it would land differently. That she'd take a breath. Maybe talk to someone who didn't coddle her. Maybe even look inward. But silence from Linda was never still. It only ever meant planning. 2 weeks after I mailed the letter, we got a call from Maya's sister. She's talking about going to court, Priya said. She thinks she can force visitation. Maya was changing the baby in the next room. I stepped into the hallway. What? I didn't want to say anything before because I thought it was just venting, but she said it again today. Something about grandparent rights and petitioning for access. I didn't say anything for a second. Then, did she actually talk to a lawyer? She said she might if you two keep withholding the baby. I felt my pulse spike. We're not withholding, we're protecting. I know that, Priya said, but she doesn't live in reality right now. That was the first moment I realized this might outgrow even our tightest boundaries. That night, after the baby was down and the house had finally exhaled, I opened my laptop and started researching. Grandparent visitation laws in California. Can a grandmother sue for access to a grandchild? Do parents have to allow contact with grandparents? I read everything, and what I found was both comforting and chilling. The law was clear. Fit parents have the right to decide who sees their child. Grandparent visitation is a long shot, only granted in rare cases, usually after a divorce or death, when the grandparent had a pre-existing relationship with the child. Linda had none of that. But what struck me was that she thought she might. That she'd framed this in her head not as a boundary, but as a betrayal. She wasn't trying to visit. She was trying to win. I told Maya about the legal threat the next morning. She was nursing on the couch, one arm cradling our son, her eyes half-lidded from the early feed. She wouldn't, she said quietly. Would she? She's already rewritten the story in her head, I said. In that version, we're cruel. You're the gatekeeper. I'm brainwashed. Maya stared down at our son, who had just drifted back to sleep. I don't want this to follow him as he grows, she said, to become some dark cloud hanging over the family gatherings. It won't. She looked up. How can you be sure? Because we're going to document everything, I said. From now on, every message, every call, every post, screenshotted, backed up. If she ever tries to twist this legally, we'll be ready. Maya nodded. Receipts over regrets. The next week, Linda called again. I let it go to voicemail. Her voice was calmer than before. Practiced. Like someone preparing a statement for a jury that didn't yet exist. I've been thinking a lot about what you said, and I realize now that maybe I came on too strong. But I'm still your mother, and that little boy is still my grandson. I know you're trying to protect your new family, but I need you to understand, I'm part of that family too. I hope we can move past this. I'd really like to meet him, even just for a few minutes. I'd come alone. No drama. Please. I forwarded the voicemail to our attorney. Yes, by then we had one. His name was Victor Ramos. Quiet, measured, with the kind of presence that made you straighten your posture without realizing it. We'd found him through a referral from a dad in my local new parents group. He specialized in family boundaries, restraining orders, custody, even elder law. We met him at his office downtown, a beige building with too much air conditioning and carpet that muffled every step. After listening to the full story, Victor asked only one question. Do you want to give her another chance, or do you want a formal no-contact order? I looked at Maya. She looked at our son, asleep in his carrier. Then she said, I want to breathe. Victor nodded. Then we'll make it formal. She gets one written warning. If she crosses that, we escalate. The warning was sent certified mail. Victor wrote it. We approved it. It listed everything. The unapproved hospital visit, the lies to staff, the refusal to leave, the online smear campaign, the emails to Maya, the hinted legal threats. It ended with this. Further attempts to contact our family without invitation will be treated as harassment. Future violations will result in legal action, up to and including a restraining order. This is your only formal warning. We signed it, sent it, and then we waited. 3 days later, Linda responded. Not with a call, not with a message, with a package. It arrived mid-morning. No return address, just our names, typed on a white label. Maya opened it carefully, standing at the kitchen counter. Inside was the baby blanket, the one Linda had posted on Facebook, the one she claimed she never got to give him. It was folded neatly, tucked inside a clear plastic sleeve. Beneath it, a card. On the front, a watercolor of a rocking chair. Inside, no matter how far you go, a mother's love always follows. No signature. Maya held the card like it might burn. Then she set it down, walked over to the trash, and dropped the entire box in without a word. Victor told us that didn't technically violate anything. Passive aggression, he said, isn't a crime. But we documented it anyway. I took photos of the box, the blanket, the card, saved it all in our digital file. Linda Boundary Violations 2025. Blanket package. We weren't living in fear. We were building our firewall. A few days later, I got a message I didn't expect. From my dad, not a call, a letter. The envelope was hand-addressed. No stamps, no postmark. He must have dropped it off himself. I found it wedged in our mailbox between the weekly coupons and an Amazon box full of newborn pacifiers Maya ordered half asleep. The handwriting stopped me. Neat, familiar. My dad's penmanship hadn't changed since the third-grade permission slips he used to sign with care. Inside, 2 pages, folded twice. A letter that didn't rage, didn't beg, just spoke. Son, I've stayed quiet because I didn't want to be in the middle. But maybe that was the problem. Maybe that's how things got this far. Your mother is not well. Not in the way that shows on scans or blood tests, but something in her thinking has cracked. She's so wrapped up in what she believes she's owed that she can't see what she's broken. I'm not defending her. I just want you to know, I see it now. I see what she did, and I'm sorry I didn't step in sooner. You're not wrong to draw the line. Protecting Maya and the baby isn't cruelty. It's fatherhood. I raised you to be a man who chooses peace over pride, and you are. If you ever open the door again, do it on your own terms. Not because someone guilted you into it, not because I asked, but because it feels right in your bones. Until then, I'm here. Quietly, steadily, on your side. Love, Dad. I read it 3 times before folding it back. Then I slid it into the drawer with the birth certificates, the pediatrician receipts, and the list of emergency numbers taped to the fridge. A new kind of document, quietly sacred. A week passed. Maya smiled more. Our son began tracking faces, following the sound of our voices. The house started to feel like a home again, less like a bunker, more like a beginning. One morning, after a rare full night of sleep, Maya brewed coffee before I even got out of bed. She brought it in with a quiet smile and sat at the edge of the mattress. "She hasn't called," she said. "Nope. No packages. Just diapers." She nodded, wrapped both hands around the mug. "It's nice." "Quiet?" She nodded again, but not the scary kind. Not the kind where you're waiting for something to explode. I reached for her hand. "We built this." "Yeah," she said softly. "We did." Later that week, we got one more letter. Not from Linda, from Victor, our attorney. It was a final update, a closure summary. No further action needed, no restraining order filed. But all documentation was in place, should we ever need it. At the end, he included a suggestion. Sometimes peace isn't about making someone change. It's about making clear they can't change you. Wishing your family peace and strength, Victor. We never heard from Linda again. No calls, no emails, no packages. No surprise visits in parking lots or at daycare or the pediatrician's office. Just stillness. I don't know if she's waiting. I don't know if she'll ever apologize with real words instead of cryptic posts and backhanded gifts. But I know this. The day our son was born, Linda showed me who she really was. And the weeks after, Maya showed me who I needed to be. Not the man who smoothed over every fire. Not the son who played referee. The father who builds a wall when his family needs shelter. The partner who stays steady in the storm. We framed the first photo of our son, the one right after birth, still bundled, eyes closed, mouth open in protest at the bright light of the world. Maya put it on the mantle last week. Underneath, in small handwriting, she added one line, "Born in peace, kept there by choice." And every night since, when the house goes quiet, and the baby's breath slows in the monitor, and Maya leans against me on the couch, I think the same thing. No one held him first. We did. If this story moved you, subscribe for more real-life confessions and emotional journeys like this one.